Hello and welcome to episode 6 of my tutorial series for Factorio. So, last episode we have set up ourselves a sturdy defense line against the biters. We have now red ammo, we're producing steel, and we are pretty much ready to go for the next few chapters of our adventure. The very first thing that I want to do after we have expanded our power grid last episode is I want to expand my power grid's coal supply. So we're now doing a universal coal line here. This does only work because coal is being depleted on relatively low numbers while we're smeltering stuff. Later down the road, we can't allow ourselves to do stuff like that, but for a starter base, a lot of little things are allowed that usually are crap. So let's get started with today's topic. So for today, I want to finally get ourselves really fully involved into the preparation of pretty much everything that we need now to continue the conquest of this planet. At this point now, our next goals are we need to go for more materials. We need to find new materials. That's what we use radar panels for, but more about that later. And we also need to build ourselves up in a way that we have all the things that we need for the sake of expansion automated, because at this point we cannot handcraft everything anymore. We need to have automation going. So in that regard, we are going to install now our first radar panel out there in the nowhere, and I'll be going like this. So we're going to go for a few right clicks on the wooden power poles, and then that's not what I wanted. We're pressing Q, and now we're just going to run east now with our power poles. Oh, I have one important thing not in my pocket, a couple of magazines. Because the thing is, when we are going to install a radar panel out in the nowhere, the problem is eventually some biters will come on by and try to eat it. I mean, it is not really a terrible loss to have a radar panel more or less, but well, it's better to just gun down the bugs, isn't it? So, here we go. Let's go and set up the radar panels in here. And now on the minimap you can see that there is this happening. Eventually that. This is basically what we're looking for. This, we waste a smidge of the radar panel, and this, we're using the full grid of it. So we're installing that. We're bringing up 2 gun turrets here to defend that little fella. You can also get yourself some walls if you'd wanted to defend that thing as well. It's up to you. It's your sandbox after all. And then we just wire it up. And as you see there, this thing now instantaneously uncovered a pretty large portion here. That is because radar panels have this mechanic that they do uncover a vicinity around them instantaneously, and then they start scanning around them and try to find new territory for you. Okay, but that just as a side note. We're going to work today in this area. So the very first thing that I personally think is one of the most important is we got to get ourselves into the inserter game, because inserters are just so freaking important. Let's do the inserter mass production very early. So I'm doing this like follows. We're putting down the inserters now onto the belt here. And let's pick up a couple of assemblers because we are well prepared. And just like this. So we're now building the long-handed inserters. There we go. Just expand our supply lines. And as you can see here, things are starting to get really easy in that regard. Can also automate the iron boxes if it bothers you to handcraft these. I'm personally not much, I don't mind that too much. And now we only require bits and that's, and just like this, we have set up this machinery here. One of the next things that I really want to do is pick up a couple of steel bars and get myself working on a couple of medium power poles. Because I'm really tired of these small guys that make my work so much more difficult. Okay, so checking back at our fronts here, we see that the gun turrets that we got are doing the job just right. The only thing that I'm slightly worried about is the volume of ammo production, but at the end of the day, we don't need that much. What we got here is actually enough. It is easy to overshoot the goal, but, well, I don't mind if you like to have too much ammo. Alright, so here we have now the red inserters, mass-produced, and with this recipe, as you can see here, we can now just easily continue doing what we have done here. Just add in simply the ingredients that are required. And that is the big advantage of a well-sorted supply chain. So we're going to do this like that. And now we can easily just... well, could just like that. Come on. Supply the entirety of this madness much, much easier. So, the blue inserters are also very important. Fast inserters are needed for many specialized industries. And last but not least, the filter inserter. The filter inserter is a very interesting fella. As he is rarely used, we're going to allow the filter inserter factory to grab from this box. And as it stands, we can cut off the belt here, as this is the last part of the chain that requires yellow inserters. Okay, so here goes. We only make one stack of these, as these are a specialist good. The purple inserters, you can tell them what kind of item they can pick up. Sometimes this is really, really useful, and there's many different applications for that. So here's now our little inserterville. We got all the different colors except for the burner inserters, as I personally don't like them because they're gosh darn slow. While we're at it, a little bit of a random inserter, some bits and bobs of random inserter knowledge. So inserters' speed is measured in rotation speed. You can translate that, though, pretty easy. 360 degree means that they can take something and they can rotate themselves in an entire circle. If you look at it how things are, putting something in is 180 degree. So that means putting an item, one item in, takes... so a inserter with 360 degree speed could put 2 items in per second, or half an item per second, or no, an item per half second, however you want to take it. So a long-handed inserter can put in a little bit more than 2 items per second. This bad boy here, well, you get the idea. So 180 degree per second in the regular approach is just one item that you have put in. But I personally don't know if the back rotation is also accounted in, but we're going to introduce later in the series a couple of tools that make it easier like that. I just wanted to talk a little bit about this weird rotation speed stat, as it confused the hell out of me when I was new here. Alright, so we got Inserterville. What next? We also got the machines here down. Some people might now want to construct themselves boilers and steam engines. I'm personally not one of them. At this point of the game, I'm personally more all about getting the ball rolling and go for the more important things in life. So we're also not going to build ourselves a assembling machine tier 2 or such. It's up to you how extravagant you want to make your starter base. I'm personally more on the pragmatic side, because there are a couple of things that are more important. For example, gun turrets. We're going to craft ourselves a couple of these, as these prove invaluable over time. And you also can see here that our little little gear wheel factory here is not kicking it anymore, so, well, what to do? At this point, you notice things are growing at parts a little bit more narrow. That's what we call also spaghettification. The fact that we are currently the fact that we currently are just cramming in things wherever we see it fit, yeah, it falls on your feet eventually. Just want to showcase it here. Once we're done with this part of the factory, by the way, we're going to build one that has none of these deficiencies, obviously. If you are asking yourself why I am doing myself this, why am I doing this to myself if I know all this better, the answer is quite easy. Building a good factory at this point of the game with given tools is a nightmare. It's just not fun because you will have to rework several parts time and time again, and you have to handcraft a lot of things. There's a lot of waiting involved because you only have slow machines. So all in all, the gist of it for me is that I find it much easier to do a sloppy approximation to where we want to go, and then build a high-tech machinery, a high-tech factory after that, like 2 times faster as I can now. That's just the idea. Alright, let's grab ourselves some walls and start researching again. So what we're researching next are engines. Engines are going to lead us down the way to progress. Another thing that I want to make here now, we're going to make it happen up here though, at the road industry. I want to make myself pipes. So pipes are so gosh darned important. We're going to need so many pipes along the game, believe me, and then some. You can't believe how many pipes a average Factorio game can require. And then you need even more pipes. And then, guess what? Pipes. No, seriously. Once you start working with fluids, it's pipes all the way down. It is just so much piping needed that I want to get mass producing with this stuff as quick as I can. This goes as far as this, that I am even going to make it happen like that. So here's one for the storage. Oh, that is not a good sign. So the biters have decided to eat my steel factory. How rude. So, very good thing that... So let's see what got destroyed. Some builds. So very good thing that I just started to mass produce gun turrets, eh? So yeah. By the way, biters are always trying to focus the source of pollution, and therefore, well, you can sometimes do yourself a favor and protect yourself from things before they happen. So, luckily, we are now mass producing all the things that we require, so it is an easy task for us to just pick up a couple of gun turrets and keep defending things. We also have walls, so we can even expand on these. Of course, an experienced player has almost no problems in foreseeing these things, but I am doing on purpose here all the things as dumb as I can. So we have legit coverage of how a average beginner's gameplay should look like. I hope so. I'm doing my best. So we just plug in a trio of big bad gun turrets and engines are finished. So I'm going to go now and research fluid handling. Fluid handling is the next step towards an entire new field of industry, and that's oil. Oil allows us to do a lot of new things, but more about that once it's time. So what I'm also going to do now is I'm going to show you that a tier 2 assembler can be just put on top of a tier 1 assembler. It just replaces the tier 1 and puts the tier 1 back into your pocket. I just did that because tier 2 assemblers are just faster, and this part of my factory currently, well, as it stands, it is a little bit more important than the rest of things. I mean, I am probably just a little bit over caring at this end, but I have a better feeling in faster magazine production. Currently, you would not really benefit too much from upgrading your assemblers all to tier 2s, because it is just simply not necessary. We could use it, but we could not really, how to put it, get the most out of it. Yes, that's how I want to put it. And therefore, I'm completely okay, except for the factors where you really notice, geez, I need more of that. And that's where you can slap them in at this point of the game very, very decently. Alright, we're researching oil processing afterwards. So oil processing is a really huge technology for us because it does also, oh, there's a yellow one, it's good enough, because it also does allow you to, well, it gives you new technologies, it gives you plastic, which leads to new things, but it also leads to new defense mechanisms, flamethrower turrets. So you get a lot of bang for your buck, so to speak, and therefore it is one of the things that we need to go for as quick as we can. It is also unavoidable and mandatory for the completion of the game, because how would one start a rocket without rocket fuel? And what's rocket fuel made out of? Exactly, mostly oil. Alright, okay. So as you can see, our little radar outpost here is doing its job, and as it stands right now, we have the most important expansionary goods together. The only thing that I'm currently missing, let's see how this goes, not too good, as one of my turrets ran out of ammo. The only thing that we're currently missing is a little bit more expansionary drift. We need to explore more, and I want to mass produce the bigger electric poles. We have, after all, steel on mass production, and, well, as much as I love making the magazines, the power poles are outright amazing. Okay, so let's do some belt black magic here, as we need for both of these electric poles iron sticks. These are very, very simply made out of iron plates. There is nothing big black magic-y around this, but what we're going to do now is this. So, oops, here. So we're going to make sure that, geez, that's quite the onslaught back there. Look at the eye. There we go. So since the red inserter, if we would be using it, it would be dropping the iron sticks where the bricks are right now. That wouldn't work for us. So instead, we're piping it in like that. So now we can just simply mass produce these little bad boys. So that's one. That's the other. These items become invaluable for the sake of expansion, as, well, it is really, really, really annoying to work without medium and large electric power poles, and I'm personally one of the people that try to get their hands on these as quick as possible, as it is just a painstaking process to work without them. And as you can see here, we're already suffering from our decisions, so we need to repipe this. So first of all, we do this like that. We make ourselves a splitter. We need to mass produce these bad boys as well. This is a very, very important thing too. There we go. So here goes the hotfix. And here we just pipe the steel through. And there we go. And as you can see, well, when you got enough underground belts in your pocket, you can just drag and drop all over the place, and you get the perfect result. So, what's happening here? So here, yeah. Duh. We forgot something. I forgot that the output here is blocked now. So as you can see, the entire machinery halted. This is something I can't tell you how easy it can happen. Whenever you notice that your machineries aren't working the way they should be, even though all the resources are available, that's a dead giveaway that you borked yourself along the way in in any thinkable way. Alright, so we go now for this. You might ask yourself also why I do produce all of my road things somewhere else than all the machine things. This comes because road things later get upgraded even further, so you can transform the road things into better road things with the logistics technology. And as you can see here, we will require even more of the road things. And guess what? After tier 2 road things comes tier 3 road things. And then it all becomes a big road thing factory. Alright. The gist of it is that the whole belt production in Factorio is enough of its own thing that I always put it somewhere else, because I really suffered through the lengths of all the industrial processes here, that I noticed that whenever I did the belt production on its own somewhere else, I personally haven't found a better solution to that. Let me know if you do. Alright, so what we do now, well, we're pretty big in business. The only things that are missing right now is a little bit of defense, so let's get ourselves a workaround about that. So, by the way, speaking about workarounds, so situations like these, they don't need to be like that. We can make it a lot easier than that. Here goes. And then we can simplify things. I'm a big fan for simplifying unnecessary choke points like these, and I also have decided that just in case, we're going to put down something to drop some bullets on the enemy if necessary. Boom. Just like that. Okay. So all in all, I deem this starter factory almost ready to go for further conquest. There's one last thing that I want to automate, radar panels, but that is really an easy thing to do now. Let's do this, as we have by now really everything the items require on the belt. So let's check back with that. There's another turret devoid of bullets. So that is another issue that we won't be able to resolve that easily. I mean, the easiest way to resolve it would be to produce enough magazines to just put them on a belt and let that belt circulate inside of your factory. We're going to do that eventually, I think. I'm not sure. But I actually had that on my mind. But here again, it is up to you whether you want to do that or not. As we work with a relatively small-scale factory, it is always up to you to outweigh whether or not you want to do these things. As you always have to keep in mind that the effort that you put in has to pay off in some way. It is super easy to overstrain yourself and your factory in a certain way. But getting just the right amount of everything, that's a little bit harder. So, well, for now, we're just going to keep producing the magazines, maybe a third stack, and let's see. Ah yeah, the radar panels. So before we got interrupted so rude, we were just about doing that, and ah yeah, the output is crammed. There it goes. And we need to build something for the automation of iron boxes, because I am dead tired of hearing this annoying noise of not having any iron boxes. Also noticeable, our iron plate volume is depleting rapidly again. That is very simply said because we just are right now producing a lot all at once. And you always notice that when you introduce a big new industry field into your factory, it'll always be the same, that until these little boxes that you set up are full and ready, you will always have these phases where there's just way more stuff going on than your starter factory can possibly digest. This comes because of one simple factor. Let me show. So machines like these here, we have a recipe here that has only 2 seconds of crafting time. Here, the assembling machine even has only half a second of crafting time. So this bad boy here can crunch away 44 iron plates and 9 copper plates in a second. So you will have a hard time putting all this material in there. We don't even have enough belts to fulfill that fantasy. But in a nutshell, the machines that we're building here are insanely hungry in terms of resource. Therefore, whenever you have empty boxes, or even worse, several empty boxes at once, this kind of thing will happen, and it's pretty normal. It's happening to all of the bases, and you shouldn't be too worried about it. Now, well, that doesn't really work out as intended, does it? So here we have now the issue at hand that we don't have enough iron plate flowing downstairs here. So it's a classic, but I would have loved to have enough iron for the big bolts. Well, I will not expand this factory with new smelters, or at least I don't want to. I hope we can avoid to. I'm not quite sure if it is possible, though. And if anything, well, the point here is that expanding on this system is not exactly doing us any particular favor. We're just expanding on some non-sustainable technology, so to speak. And instead, we should totally get ourselves invested into expanding our business properly. And that is what I'm stressing out here. Alright, so the first of our mining machines has depleted. You see that little red light here? That's the warning sign that one of your iron mining machines is empty. So we're going to add in the new one. It's a very important process. From time to time, check back with your mining machines. Look, here's also a little bit of an issue at hand. And we need to re-plug these. I mean, as everything in life, we'll eventually deplete these mineral fields, but not today. Not yet. Alrighty, so we got all that, and the next step will be to start looking for somewhere where we can expand ourselves to. Well, Nicholas, it would have been fun with electric bolts. But as a matter of fact, the wooden bolts are just as fine for expansion. Alright, so what we did here is just nice. Ooh, we found oil. Brilliant. But we need more of that. So what we're going to do next is exactly just that. More of that. We're going to grab ourselves some magazines and some gun turrets, and ideally save the game at that point. Because the point is, we are now going to leave our home turf. You see, that is also making us vulnerable. Because if anything wants to attack us, we are not at home. If anything, our defense system is faulty, we can't fix it immediately. So keep these things in mind when you're leaving home. You just can't do anything until you're back. So we're going to find nice solutions to these problems as well, once we can have a car and such, but for today it ain't there. Alright, so the big step now is we'll have to find we have to expand with the radar panels, because we need to find bigger patches of minerals. The stuff that we got right now, it just is not enough. We need way more than the amounts that our starter patches provide, and therefore, well, oh boy, what a nasty cliff. What a big one at that. Okay, well, that's good enough for me. I'm going to slap up the radar. Oh no, like that. So as you see here, cliffs, really nasty fellas. But the good point about cliffs is there are cliff explosives. which allow you to remove cliffs. Seriously, there's nothing else good to say about them. They are obstacles made to piss you off and made to make you get the urge to get rid of them. Enough said, that is what we're going to do next. We're going to cover the map bit by bit, and we're going to have the radar panels uncover the world for us. It is up to you how heavily you want to defend your radar panels. For example, here we have currently some walls in your pocket, so we can decently just encapsulate that thing a little bit. Use the cliff as a natural defense line. Alright, so I'm going to install a couple of these radar panels over the map between this and the next episode, and then we're going to look at what we got there, because our big goal is now to find a site where we build the actual factory. I think in the next episode I will spend some time in perfectioning the defense lines of this factory, as I see that with the starter factory we still have some time to spend with. Alright, my friends, thanks for watching. It's been my pleasure. I hope you enjoyed your time. Feel free to leave a comment, feel free to leave a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and of course, check out the description box leading you to the playlist for this entire series. And yeah, I'm always happy to see people on the Discord. Check out my Twitch channel if you'd be so kind. I'd be more than happy. Also, there's a couple of links to support this channel financially, and it'd be my pleasure if you'd be so kind to do so. All that being said, thanks for watching this video up until the very end. Can't wait to get deeper into what we're doing here, because the fun is just starting here, my friends. See you all in the next one. Bye-bye.